Hey guys, I found a chipmunk who would rather claim accreditation as a conspiracy instead of admitting that she runs a diploma mill. Let's go.
So a lot of people ask us, are you accredited? At IMU, the answer is no.
First off, your audio is fucking terrible. Secondly, anyone who values their education and wants a legitimate chance to use their degree to get a stable job that pays money, yeah, those people have fucked off already, Deborah. Here's why. Accreditation is a peer review process assessing the quality of the institution and the education they offer. By far the most important aspects to keep in mind for today's purposes are the evaluation of the efficacy of their curriculum and the fact that it's a voluntary, non-governmental process. Acquiring accreditation is an academic stamp of approval. It basically says we don't have a course called Holistic Health and Energy Healing. Yeah, that's a real course they offer, but we'll get into more of those later.
The truth is, we started out in that direction, looking towards accreditation because we wanted to bring mainstream credibility to the metaphysical education platform. But
you offer courses in pseudoscience? But most of your curriculum has absolutely no real-world applications? I'll answer for you. It's both. When being evaluated for accreditation, the burden of proof falls on the university to show that they provide a legitimate education that can be utilized in reality. Without pause, I can say you weren't able to do so. That's not to say there aren't unaccredited schools you can receive an honest education from. It just means that you might want to be prepared to take those courses again if you plan on switching to an accredited university.
Once we got in there and started realizing what we were really getting into, we changed our mind, and let me tell you why.
I know why. All of your courses are massive extraordinary claims that have fuck all evidence. Except the one where you teach people to be charlatans. Metaphysical entrepreneurship and marketing. Which is, unbelievably, another course you offer, which I can only imagine would be accidentally useful. Some of their courses offer basic accounting and computer skills, but how much of this do they actually pepper in a 12-week course? If I can get the $197 it costs to take this course, I'll make a video on the whole thing. I have a Patreon. Just saying.
Number one, did you know that accreditation was created so that all of the schools would create content just like each other so they could trade credits between each other?
Sure, that's part of it, but I think the bigger point behind its creation is to ensure a quality education. It was created to make sure people like you don't deprive students of the opportunity to get a real education. Accreditation is not just a one-and-done thing either. It's an ongoing process that ensures that hard-won knowledge isn't dismissed and replaced with courses called psychic development and paranormal studies. How are you at all surprised you remain unaccredited?
So what happened as a result of that was all of these mainstream schools became cookie cutters of each other. They have essentially the same content, essentially same classes, everything being taught, and they do that so they can trade credits between each other.
You do realize that all you did was repeat your previous statement in a more long-winded fashion, right? You literally gave us no new information to back up why that is a bad thing. These schools are, as you say, cookie cutter because the information they offer has been peer-reviewed and shown to be beneficial to society. If you spend a good amount of time working your ass off and would like to further your education, it helps to know that where you'll end up will be teaching you things to expand on what you've already learned.
The result is, none of these schools are unique.
What does being unique have to do with it? We aren't talking about a high school talent show. We're talking about education, you fucking moron. You want to talk about a unique school? MIT is pretty fucking unique. You want to know why this school is unique? Because only the best and brightest from around the world actually get in. Of the 18,306 candidates that applied in 2015, only 1,519 were offered admission. That's only 8%. I doubt your school is very hard to get into, considering you don't require people to have a high school diploma to enroll. Also, what's your graduate success rate? That is one of the biggest concerns for an accreditation board.
And the information that you're getting is cookie cutter, watered down information.
If cookie cutter and watered down are supposed to somehow mean peer-reviewed and demonstrable, you're right on the money. Otherwise, no. You're talking shit. Being mad that you bear the burden of proof doesn't mean it's a conspiracy. Realistically, you go to college to get a diploma employers will respect. Yours will be laughed at.
So we didn't want to create classes just like everybody else. We wanted to be and remain the unique school that we were. So that was the number one reason that we decided to reject the possibility of getting accredited.
You said unique school, but I think you meant to say pseudoscience diploma mill.
The second reason was government oversight. Did you know that the government has their hands in accreditation?
Actually, the government relies on organizations like CHEA, the Council for Higher Education Accreditation, to ensure that their money is going towards funding institutions that can meet the standards for providing a quality education. The DOE does not directly accredit schools itself, at all. There's a link down in the description to a paper that discusses the government's role in the accreditation process. You should check it out, it's pretty interesting.
So, once you decide to become accredited, the government can decide what programs you can teach, what content you can teach, and so on.
No, god damn it. The government does not at all tell you any of these things. It is on you to prove to the accreditation board that you applied to that your university meets the requirements to call itself a legitimate institution of higher learning. Not being able to do so is not evidence of a conspiracy. It just means you are incapable of providing sufficient evidence that your school, headquartered in a shopping center in New Mexico, isn't just pumping out degrees that aren't worth the paper they're printed on.
And considering the government's platform on UFOs and psychic development and consciousness and energy healing, well, can you imagine what our programs would look like if we let the government come in and decide what we could teach? So that was the second reason we decided to reject the option of accreditation.
She kind of just rattled off a good chunk of her course selection, so we're going to take a look at the list of classes they offer and see if maybe we can't see why they weren't able to convince an accreditation board of their legitimacy. Holistic health and energy healing, consciousness studies, psychic development and paranormal studies, shamanic studies, ufology studies, and metaphysical entrepreneurship and marketing. You can immediately see, just at first glance, that all of it is based on pseudoscience. All of it. As for your unrelenting attempts to paint the big bad government as your bully, I will again suggest that you read the paper on their role in the accreditation process, down in the description. It's safe to say that even if the government were more involved, I wouldn't see it as a bad thing at this point. Your career options page is just a list of suggested hobbies and TV fame pipe dreams. Link in the description if you're curious. It's easy to see who really benefits from this crooked deal. Also, these aren't good reasons. So far, you have just rambled on about how you want to be unique and then barfed an argument based on a false premise. Not looking good, Deborah.
Number 3 was cost. You see, it's really expensive to become accredited.
Yeah, it is. That's not wrong. But the benefits eventually outweigh the cost. People will want to go to your school once it's seen as a legitimate university, meaning you will see a return in your investment once your student body grows. A basic cost-benefit analysis would have told you that. Guess that never comes up in that marketing class you offer.
So have you ever wondered why you have all these really big universities that cost $50,000 a year to get your education? It's not going to the instructors. A lot of it's going to pay for accreditation oversight.
Yeah, that's bullshit you pulled straight out of your ass. The estimated cost of annual accreditation is about $32,000 to $35,000, accounting for course examinations and fees. But most legit universities make more than enough to pay this negligible cost to retain legitimacy in the eyes of the academic community. We'll use Cornell University in Ithaca, New York as an example. Because Bill and I went there, duh. In 2015, their total assets came to $12,771,287. Assuming that they had to pay accreditation fees that year, they only spent 0.25% of their total asset figure. Does 0.25% sound like a lot to any of you? Yeah, I didn't think so.
In our case, we would have had to double or even triple our costs in order to keep the accreditation, and we would be constantly overseeing that process to make sure that we were fitting their criteria.
I don't know if anybody's told you this or not, but you could charge more for your courses if they had even the slightest resemblance to something remotely scientific. I won't repeat myself for the sake of our collective sanity, but I will just add one thing. Grow up, you petulant fucking child. The world isn't out to get you. You're selling nonsense to the credulous. That's pretty fucking reprehensible, you charlatan.
So you would be paying double or 3 times the price of your education just to be paying the accrediting agency.
No, you'd be paying for a quality education that is actually fucking useful.
So if you look at these students that are coming out of college now, they are enslaved for life to their student loan debt.
How does this have anything to do with whether or not a school deserves accreditation? Nice red herring.
Yes, we would be able to offer you student loans instead of having to pay as you go.
Yeah, all that means is that you bought really expensive toilet paper that's playing dress up as a diploma. Getting a degree from IMU is about as useful as selling your car for gas money.
But who wants to pay back student loans for 30 years or 40 years? Your education is the price of a house.
Yeah, so what? That's a part of life, especially if you want to go to a university and you don't have the money to pay for it. How does this at all tell me that accreditation is a conspiracy?
In our case, you graduate with top quality, unique information, unique education you can't get anywhere else in the world that's not watered down, not overseen by the government. Pure, high quality information for a price that you can afford to pay out of your pocket, and you will not be enslaved once you are done with your education.
No. What you really leave IMU with is a piece of paper that shows how intellectually dishonest and scientifically illiterate you are.
So those are the primary reasons that we chose to avoid the whole process of accreditation. So we could bring you high quality, low cost information that's going to transform your lives and transform the lives of those around you. And besides that, we're a little bit of a rebel, and we think you are too.
Rebel, yeah, go ahead and call it that, because vapid asshole would be way too on the nose. But in conclusion, nothing she says makes any sense. Her conspiracy claim is on par with and about as valid as a high schooler saying their math teacher is conspiring against them because they failed calculus. The accreditation process is an incredibly important tool used to evaluate not only the quality of the information you will be providing for your student body, but how successful your graduates are once they leave your institution. Not being able to provide evidence of either can only work against you. So, keep running your university for all I give a fuck. But just remember that if you want to be taken seriously in the academic world, you have to be willing to demonstrate that your curriculum meets basic educational standards. The fact that you had to make this video at all is a huge red flag. Only institutions that are worried they won't be taken seriously would do some shit like this. There isn't a video on why Caltech is accredited. They continue to prove their legitimacy and just keep moving forward. Even for a snake oil salesman, this is a pretty desperate move. But anyway guys, thanks for watching. Love you, bye.